Good morning, everybody, and welcome in to Before the Sandstorm here on Gamecock Central. Kendall Smith and Jack Veltri joining you here, and it is early. We were just talking about this, Jack. 8:17 in the morning right now, Eastern time, and we're feeling a little bit tired. I don't know how the rest of you are doing out there. We were complaining for the longest time about South Carolina having night games. But the one thing I will say is that I did appreciate the 11 o'clock start for Before the Sandstorm. The 8:15 start is getting to me a little bit, but hey, it's game day. Everything is all good. And you are ready to go. Like you are dressed.
Oh, yeah.
You're be out the door.
As soon as we're done here, I'm literally packing my bag and I'm heading to the car, and I'm really hoping this traffic is not going to be as bad as people say it is. I honestly don't remember 2 years ago when the state fair was here and the traffic. I cannot honestly remember it to save my life, but I hear it's bad, so I'm just going to go with it, and hopefully.
What time does the state fair open?
I think it opens at like 10, but I don't know if it's like people are like lining up with their cars beforehand and stuff. I don't know. So I am leaving here hopefully about like 9 and then getting there. And yeah, the last thing I want to be doing is sitting in traffic. So,
well, for your sake, I hope that the traffic is not too bad and you are giving yourself a ton of buffer room. You live a few miles from the stadium and you'll have over an hour to get there. So hopefully it all works out. We've got a 12:45 kickoff today. South Carolina taking on Oklahoma. And Jack, this is important. We talked about this earlier in the week on GC Live, but we feel like this is South Carolina's most winnable game SEC-wise when you look at the rest of their schedule. So as we head into today, this game, it's a little bit earlier than what we're used to, what we've been given earlier in the season with start times, with kickoff times. How are you feeling? What's your vibe for South Carolina today?
I like that this game's earlier. Just, now for my sake, it's going to be nice tonight. I'm going to get home at like 6:30, 7 o'clock. I'm going to kick back. I'm going to watch the night games. That'll be awesome because there's a bunch of good ones on this weekend, as we'll get into. But no, for real, like with this game, like you said, Kendall, this is South Carolina's most winnable game moving forward. I wrote it down in the staff picks. I believe I said something along the lines of, if South Carolina doesn't win this game, you can really just forget about going bowling. I mean, I just don't see it happening because you still need to get 3 wins. And if you lose your most winnable game, are you going to magically just beat Alabama, Ole Miss, A&M, all top 10 teams? I don't think so. I mean, not with this offense. Unless this offense, if you lose and this offense shows you signs of like being really good, then sure, like maybe you have a chance in some of these other games. But no, I mean, you need to win this game. Like, assuming you can beat Clemson and Coastal at the end of the year, it's only 5 wins. So you need to win one more of these tough games in SEC play. Luckily for South Carolina, this is at home. I think it's going to be a good crowd today. Should be rocking here in a few hours. And the other thing is, South Carolina typically runs into one of these victories where you just don't really fully expect it, right? We've seen it year after year with these games where Carolina just comes out, plays lights out, and wins in a crazy way. So I think today is that day for South Carolina. Not going to totally spoil my pick without kind of spoiling my pick for this game, but I feel good about South Carolina today.
And Jack's pick is already live. You can check all of our staff picks over on GamecockCentral.com. We also went through a whole list of other games happening across the college football landscape today. Jack, you said you think they could win in a crazy way. I'm curious, when you say crazy way, are you talking like Tennessee crazy way from 2022 where it's just like South Carolina comes out and they are going, and the game is really close? Or do you think that this is a closer game for South Carolina? Because we know John Mateer, he's on 100%. He had a rough week last week against Texas. So will South Carolina's defense capitalize? You've got Sean Elliott coaching the offensive line now, so you're expecting to see some changes offensively. What do you think that crazy win could look like for South Carolina?
Yeah, when I say crazy, it can mean so many different things. It really could, like you said, you drew it up perfectly, Kendall. Like, it could mean 2 years or 3 years ago where you have the 63-point game against Tennessee out of thin air. Like, that game typically does happen for South Carolina offensive coordinators, don't you think? Because,
Mhm.
like Marcus Satterfield, whether he was or wasn't calling plays in that game, he was still the offensive coordinator. I know there's a lot of conspiracies and stuff about that I don't even know the full truth of, to be honest. But he scored 6 points against Florida the week before. You look at Dowell Loggins and his tenure at South Carolina. There were a lot of good, but there was also like some bad. Like last year, like they did nothing scoring wise against Ole Miss, and then the next week they come out and score 25 points, and then they blow out or 25 points against Alabama, and then they blow
Mhm.
out Oklahoma in this very game. So it's entirely possible that this offense just magically comes together and it just works out. Mike Shula's called some good plays at times. He's also called some real duds, in my opinion. So I don't know. I mean, you kind of just gotta I think some of it just requires luck, but I also think the timing is it would be really good for something like that to happen this weekend. But I do think this is going to be a much lower scoring game. I would take the under all day in this game. Just two very good defenses that are going up against each other. Points are going to be at a premium. And honestly, Kendall, I don't think the offenses are going to do a ton in this game. I think it's really going to come down to whether the defense or the special teams for South Carolina can make a big play in this game.
Well, we know that South Carolina's schedule only gets harder from here on out. We've talked about that so many times, and people are kind of waiting for that breakout game offensively. They're waiting for that breakout game from Mike Shula, like you talked about. We saw it with Marcus Satterfield. We saw it with Dowell Loggins. They're waiting for that to happen. You don't expect that to be today, though, Jack, but what do we need to see from the offense? We talked about this a little bit during GC Live. What do we need to see from the offense to know it's going in the right direction and to know, okay, that breakout game could come in? Hey, maybe it is today, but if it's not, if these defenses live up to the hype that we're talking about, the breakout game for South Carolina offensively obviously needs to come in the next couple of weeks when you're taking on these really tough opponents, Alabama, Ole Miss. So what do you need to see today to give you a little bit more confidence offensively?
I think less mistakes, like penalties and stuff, are going to be the main factor in this game. Like that'll probably be the one indication of like, okay, what difference has Sean Elliott actually made up front? Because I mean, the players are the players. You're going to get up some sacks. This is also Oklahoma's defensive front. Like they are one of the best, if not the best, in the country. So you get a really tough test this weekend, just like you did last week with LSU and that defense over there in Baton Rouge. But for Carolina, for them to show progress to me, again, I don't see them doing a ton today offensively in the scoring department. But I do think it would be like, okay, Lenore Sellers has a pretty good day out there. Like the blocking's good enough to where he is able to. And honestly, there's a lot of criticism for the blocking, and I've been critical of the offensive line's blocking for not giving Lenore enough time. He also needs to make better decisions on the fly. I think that's one thing you have to do as a quarterback when you're just kind of in this situation where the blocking's not great up front and your passes are late. You're getting intentional groundings when you're getting 3-4 guys coming right at you. You just have to be a little bit smarter with those things because also it's just hurting at you in the long run when you combine it with the penalties and stuff. So I think just playing a cleaner game of football, Kendall, is the biggest thing more than anything else because that's what's really hurting South Carolina right now. Don't get me wrong. I think they can go out there and score points and they're running the football well. So there's one part of it that you already kind of have down through a few weeks now. But it's more so like just the mental mistakes and those relapses can hurt you in a lot of ways. They're drive killers, as you would say.
Okay, let's switch to defense because I feel like we talk about the offense all the time, and that's obviously the big topic of conversation across, South Carolina football is talking about the offense, talking about what's going wrong, what needs to be better. Defensively, though, you're expecting this to be a big game from South Carolina's defense, but you said same with Oklahoma as well, and we mentioned it. John Mateer, Oklahoma's quarterback, coming off of an injury and missed a game for it. It's a hand injury. Last week, he threw 3 interceptions against Texas in that loss. So they're coming off of a week in which they struggled, and you feel like this is a manageable offense for South Carolina's defense. But what do you think the ultimate key is defensively to be able to shut Oklahoma down offensively?
Limit the run. Limit the run in this game is going to be huge. Texas did it perfectly last week. For as much as they stopped Mateer through the air, they really kept him in check running the football. I mean, sacks are going to be adjusted for yardage, as we all know, but
Jack's favorite thing.
it's the I just
You do
cannot.
not like that.
Kendall, it drives me nuts because it's like the
I don't like
NFL.
it either.
The NFL doesn't do it, so why can't college football do it?
Yeah.
But to each their own. Yeah, I mean, look, when you look at that Texas game, the thing that stands out are obviously the picks and the sacks and how often Texas was disruptive. The thing that people probably forget is that Mateer is such a good runner and athlete that he was held to his lowest rushing total of the season, like well under 10 yards, if I'm remembering correctly. I mean, like that was a huge factor in the game because he's their second leading rusher this season. And Oklahoma only ran for 48 yards in that game. So sacks adjusted or not, they were not doing much running the football in this game. So if you're South Carolina, and Shane Beamer knows this, I mean, every game starts with stopping the run, but more so in this game because then you're forcing a quarterback who, yes, he's gone through a full week of practice, and yes, he's full go, but that hand injury is still there, obviously. It affected him last week. I would think it's going to affect him to a little bit of a degree this week to where if he's not playing well out there, would not shock me at all if we see like a Michael Hawkins Jr. get in there as the backup quarterback coming in there and playing. So my point to just wrap it up here on this point is you got to be able to stop the run. More so than anything, stop Mateer running the football, force him into some tough throws. And I like South Carolina's defense to make some plays potentially.
All right, Jack, we got to give a shout out to our presenting sponsor of today's Before the Sandstorm show. It is Clint Hammond.
Yes. So thank you, Kendall. Clint Hammond of CMG Home Loans is the perfect guy to help you out if you are looking to buy that dream home of yours that you've always wanted. But here's the thing. It's a complicated process. It could be really tricky figuring out all on your own, but you don't have to go through it alone. Clint can be there for you and help you out every step along the way. He has been in the mortgage industry for over 20 years now. He's been the presenting sponsor of GamecockCentral.com and all of our GC Live programs for, years now. Like as long as you and I have both been at GC here, so probably even longer than that. Clint is the man. He'll help you out, take you through the process step by step. Like I said, he's also a lifelong Gamecock fan, if I did not mention that already. The number to call him at is 803-422-6797. The NMLS number for him is 71597, or go to clinthammond.com for more info. And if you're watching live or watching us later on, all this information will be above us here on screen.
Okay, Jack, we haven't done this in a while, but I want to talk breakout players or key players or guys that you're looking at on both sides of the ball to make big impacts here today. So let's go offense and defense. Who we got?
Okay. Let's start with defense because we just talked about them. I kind of like Dylan Stewart to have a big day. I know that's the generic.
Why did you take mine?
Okay, fine. I'll pick somebody else. Let's go with man. All right. Why don't you explain why you would pick Dylan Stewart?
Well, I mean, I just think, like you said, it's the obvious answer, and a lot of people are going to say Dylan Stewart. But when you talk about limiting Oklahoma offensively, you're looking at your best player defensively to step up and make sure that happens. Just be a leader out there and get the job done. And I think that, Dylan Stewart obviously helps to lead the defense every game, but for a game like this, when it is so important and South Carolina knows what's on the line, there's like a sense of desperation, I think, with this team at this point to pick up the win. As you said, to keep those bull hopes alive, you got to rely on your key guys. So it is an obvious answer. It's a clear answer, but I think a guy like Dylan Stewart is going to be extremely key, especially when you said, stopping the run, make sure you're limiting Mateer. That's exactly what Dylan Stewart can help do. So that's why I'm going Dylan Stewart. I know it's obvious, but he's going to be a leader defensively. He has been this year, and to lead that group and to be able to do what you need to do against Oklahoma, it's important, and I think he will.
Good pick. So I won't take your pick. To be fair, I didn't know that you were picking Dylan Stewart. So
we always pick the same people.
We do. So I'll be different though. I'm going to go I'll go on the other side of the defensive line. Brian Thomas Jr. has been pretty good.
Yeah.
He had that good game against SC State. He had the nice game against Vanderbilt. I mean, look, this is Stewart's edge mate, right? And the Oklahoma offensive line is improved this year, but again, They just gave up 5 sacks to a very good defense in Texas. South Carolina, for all the issues they have, their defensive front is very good. So
Mhm.
I think Carolina is going to be disruptive today. I think they are going to get some material a few times in this game. Look for 46-6 to have some big plays in this game. I think they can really set the tone coming off the edge. So, yeah, I'll go with Brian Thomas.
All right. I like it. Okay, let's switch to offense. I'll let you start this time.
Okay. Well, I mean, look, let's get the obvious out of the way. You need Lenore Sellers to be Superman to win this game. But I am not going to go Lenore Sellers because that is kind of a lame answer. So that's too obvious for me. So I am going to go with I feel like you're going to pick him, so I won't say him. Let's go with Matt Fuller.
I was gonna pick
No,
Matt
you
Fuller.
what? I thought you were going to pick like Nick Harbor. All right. Well, I'm going Nick Harbor then. Forget it. I am going Nick Harbor.
Go with your initial choice.
Go with my gut, as they say. I'm going with Nick Harbor because, it feels like what's happened to the guy from the first game of the year where he should have had over 100 receiving yards and 2 touchdowns, but 99 receiving yards and a touchdown. I mean, where's that guy that is just so good through the air? He's been very quiet lately. I think it's time. It's time for him to just put it all together. This happens far too often where he has a good game and then he falls off the face of the earth. Well, his fault or not, for a few weeks. And it's like, come on, where is this consistency at? And if it's going to be inconsistent, it might as well return to some consistency today. So, Nick Harbor, have a big game today. Let's see it.
I like it. Let's do it. I was going to pick Matt Fuller, and
you're picking first from now on.
This is actually hilarious. That is so funny. I'm like, oh yeah, I did good with this one. Like Matt Fuller, that was my obvious pick. I didn't even think of Lenoris first. Like I thought of Matt Fuller first because of everything from last week. We saw he had his breakout moments during the LSU game, but I think the biggest part is I want to see how much he is involved in tonight's game. I'm so used to saying that. This afternoon's game. I want to see how much he is involved because this was a point of conversation after last week. Shane Beamer talking about how he started off the game very strong against LSU, and then all of a sudden his touches were very limited. And he said at halftime he was telling his coaches, I want the ball in Matt Fuller's hands. And we just didn't see as much of that as we thought we would throughout the rest of the game, especially considering the hot start he had against LSU. So I'm predicting this week that we will see more of Matt Fuller and he'll get more touches, more opportunities. And that's what he deserves. I mean, he came out and he had a really good start to that LSU game. And I don't think he fully got the opportunities that he needed then. So it needs to happen this week. He's proven to you he can do it. And I think if you want to continue the upward trajectory of the run game, that's a guy you need to rely on. So I'm expecting big things out of him today. And I think the first touchdown of today's game, I usually go with this. I think it'll be Lenore Sellers' design run play, but I don't know. I wouldn't be surprised if it was Matthew Fuller. I think it'll be rushing touchdown.
Let's lock it in then. Didn't we do this before the first
week
game?
1, and I got it right because I said Lenore Sellers on an RPO.
All right, let's do it. Let's do it. Lock it in. Let's go.
So I'm saying Lenoris again.
You're gonna say Lenoris. All right. Well, I will go with Matt Fuller then.
Okay.
I do think we get a Matt Fuller touchdown run.
I think we'll get one at some point.
Yeah, we'll get that. That'll be the first score of the game for South Carolina. So
we don't care how they score. We'll put our pride to the side.
Yeah,
We're just score. And just score early because that's the thing. Like I am yearning for a game from South Carolina where they just come out and it's all gas, no brakes. Like I wonder how that feels. I haven't experienced that in a while. Like I am ready to experience an all gas, no break situation for South Carolina, where it is kind of like that Tennessee game from 2022, where it's just, all right, we're going, we're not stopping. And I think that would be huge if South Carolina can get that done. It's obviously way easier said than done, but we'll see. Jack, we need to go through our picks for this game and across college football before we get out of here today. So let's start with across the college football landscape. There's a lot of good games this weekend, which I'm certainly excited about. The first one I want to go through because it's right down the road from both of us. It's another SEC matchup. It is Ole Miss at Georgia. And this one will be interesting. Georgia struggled last week throughout their game against Auburn were able to pull off the win. But gosh, it was a little bit of a struggle for them. So what do we got? Ole Miss, Georgia.
Yeah, I got, let's see, what do I have on stat picks? I have Georgia winning this game. I like Ole Miss. I like the offense they got. I like Trinidad Chambliss, but, and I know they beat Georgia last year in this game in Oxford, but, Georgia typically steps up to the plate in these types of games. They're a home favorite. I like Georgia in this one to win. And also, shout out to you, Kendall, because you came awfully close to going perfect in staff picks last week. She got all the picks. She got all the picks right for the other games, but then she picked with her heart, and it unfortunately came back to bite her. So she went 9-1 staff picks, but she is in first place in staff picks. So how about that? So I had to get the shout out there, but I would be going Georgia.
Mark this down because I don't know how long I'll stay in first place. I went back and forth on this one. As I was looking at it, I was like highlighting Georgia and then highlighting Ole Miss and then highlighting Georgia. It was the one I kept coming back to for some reason. I went Ole Miss on this one. And the reason why I went Ole Miss does not have to do with my brother going to law school there.
I was about to say.
I went because honestly, it is my favorite thing to be able to give him a hard time about Ole Miss. Like he's kind of high on his horse right now about Ole Miss. And so I'm like, all right, you need to humble yourself a little bit. But the reason why I picked Ole Miss, and my parents went to Indiana. So my whole family is high on their horses right now. So I'm like, please, South Carolina just beat Oklahoma so I can have something to say. But I picked Ole Miss just because I have not seen enough out of this Georgia team to give me the full assurance that I think they are as good as everyone is trying to say they are. Like they really struggled against Auburn. Obviously they lost to Alabama. Like they've had just so many ups and downs. And of course today will probably be an up knowing how things work out for me. Today will probably be a great game for Georgia. But if I just look at the consistency factors of both teams, and I know Ole Miss had a little bit of a rough week last week too, but I'm still I have a little bit more confidence in Ole Miss. I know it is on the road, but I will say, and this might be a hot take, of the SEC stadiums that I've been to, Georgia's great. I've been to a night game at Georgia. It's tough to play there, but I do not think it is, and I know that Georgia fans don't like to hear this, but I don't think it's as hard to play at Georgia as I felt it was for South Carolina at Tennessee or Florida. You know what I mean? I do think it's really tough to play there. I don't think it'll be easy for Ole Miss, but I also think that Lane Kiffin coaches his team in a way that's just kind of okay. I always go back to the fact of them getting mustard bottles and golf balls thrown at them at Tennessee, and he's just most coaches would be losing it, and he was mad, but I just feel like the nonchalantness of Lane Kiffin will rub off on his team, even maybe in a tougher Georgia environment here today. So that's my long-winded way of saying I'm going Ole Miss. I have gone against the grain a lot during these staff picks.
Yes.
For example, I picked Texas and Indiana last week.
Yes. So we'll see if it pays off. I mean, look, there's only two people. You and Wellbaum have picked Ole Miss, and everyone else has picked Georgia. So we'll see.
Hopefully I get it right. Sorry, Georgia fans. Okay. Not that they watch this show or like our show anyways. Tennessee, Alabama. Let's go. This one's going to be good. This one was hard too. This one was really hard.
Wow. I'm looking at these staff picks and I see a lot of crimson and white. I did pick Alabama. I made the mistake of not picking Alabama last week when I was the only one to pick them to beat Georgia a few weeks ago. And I'm like, they can't stop the run. Ahmad Hardy from Missouri is so good. Jamal Roberts, but I'm picking Alabama this week. I think this is going to be a high-scoring game out in Tuscaloosa against Tennessee. I just think Alabama outlasts Tennessee in the end.
I'm really impressed with Ty Simpson. I think he's grown a lot throughout this year. But I went with Tennessee.
There's always a but.
I don't know. This was one of the games, too, where I just kind of went with my gut on it. Again, with Alabama, I feel like I've seen too much of this. It's kind of similar to Georgia. And it's crazy because those are two teams, a couple of years ago, were just steady Eddie. There was not a lot of change. It was just yep, consistently really, really good. But with both Georgia and Alabama, I feel like it's kind of been up and down, up and down. And I know Tennessee's had a little bit of that too, but I still went with Tennessee in this game. I just like them a little bit better.
I
So
don't blame you. It's a good pick.
I am going a little crazy. And for the two big SEC matchups of the weekend, I picked the road team to win both. Which now that I'm looking at it, I'm like,
listen, you kind of have to go crazy a little bit to make up. Well, you don't need to make up ground, but like you're in first place. But I mean, you gotta go crazy sometimes.
but how much am I in first place by? Like I could easily
like
drop it.
Like a game, but
Yeah.
it's also week 8, and we have we're going all the way to the national championship. So
yeah, guys, there's no way I'm gonna stay in first place till the end, but I will relish in the moment.
Frame this moment, this episode,
This
October 18th, the day that Kendall was in first place.
I think I've been in first place. Like I've been towards the top for most.
Oh yeah, you've had a great year. Like let's just not disregard that.
I will pick team. I'll just be yeah, I think Ole Miss is gonna win. And so, I mean, I have reasons. I'm not just randomly picking teams, but I don't always go with the common pick. For example, I will always say, but last week, Indiana, Oregon, nobody had Indiana winning that game except for Pat McAfee and Kendall Smith. That's it. I'm not actually saying that, but that's how it felt. But I watch Indiana play every single week, and
they're a good team. They are a good team.
You can't go against my guy, Kurt Signetti.
No, you can't.
Okay. Let's do a couple more here. LSU at Vanderbilt. There's a lot of good SEC games this weekend. Let's do that, and then we'll finish with 2 more that are not SEC.
Yeah, I'm going Vanderbilt on this one. I don't know. I just kind of have, like you said, Kendall, I kind of just have that gut feeling that LSU is not that good. And I know they're top 10, and I know they beat South Carolina, but I just don't think they're as good as they're certainly not as good as I thought they were going to be this year. Sleeper to win the national championship, Garrett Nussmeier. First team preseason All SEC on Jack Veltri's ballot. What a complete bust that seems to be. Yeah, I'm going Vanderbilt. Let's see what Vanderbilt can do today.
Well, staying on theme with going with road teams, I picked LSU, and I agree. I don't think LSU is as good as everybody says LSU is, but I don't think Vanderbilt is as good as everybody says Vanderbilt is. Yeah. So that's why I picked LSU. Yeah, and that was that. And
to kind of go off this comment, I mean, there's so much parity. I mean, look at last night. Miami, number 2 in the country, losing at home to Louisville. That was a crazy game. Cal almost lost to North Carolina. I don't know if you saw the way that game ended, but did you see how it went down?
I did not. I was at hockey.
Yeah, so North Carolina was down by 3 points, and they basically had a touchdown, but the guy running for UNC fumbled through the end zone, so it was a touchback, and they lost. So
I bet Bill Belichick was so mad.
Oh, I'm sure he was. So yeah,
wow,
go out to the West Coast and just lose. So, but yes.
Wow. Okay. Well, next up, let's hit Clemson hosting SMU.
I got Clemson. I don't know what their quarterback situation is going to be today. Apparently, this Vizina guy just sucks, according to my brother when I was calling him yesterday because he goes to Clemson. I asked, how's this guy? And he said he's just not good. We'll see. Clemson's got good receivers, so all you got to do is throw the ball to them, and hopefully they can do a lot with it. I'm going to go Clemson, just a gut feel here. Again, most of my picks are gut feel, but at the end of the day, I think Clemson is the better team than SMU.
I also picked Clemson in this game, and same reasons for you. I just think they're the better team. And
it's at home.
It's at home, and they're like South Carolina. Desperation kicks in, and you got to do what you got to do. So they need to win. Okay, do you want to do Southern Cal at Notre Dame or Utah at BYU? Which one do you want to pick?
Ooh, Holy War, or I forget what they call this rivalry.
We can just go through.
Let's just do both. You said both games. We can't leave the people without.
I love how Jack put Southern Cal.
Okay, I actually had Notre Dame for a second, but I was on radio yesterday with Tyler Head, and he picked Southern Cal, and I was like, all right, explain to me why you picked Southern Cal. You see the way their offense clicks. You see the way their defense performed against Michigan last week. I mean, look, USC or Southern Cal does not have the best defense, but for them to actually play relatively
Ooh.
well, I kind of like Southern Cal this weekend. So
Yeah, I
just
went back and forth. I picked Notre Dame though.
yeah.
In this one, same with Southern. Like, I don't know. It's tough to say because I'm thinking a lot like, earlier on in the season when you see kind of what the teams have to go through and it isn't always super consistent. I do agree. I think their offense is starting to click a lot more. And that is definitely something to keep in mind as they take on Notre Dame tonight. But I have Notre Dame winning this one because, again, I'm not going to claim that I've watched every snap of every Southern Cal game this year. But from what I've seen, they're getting better. But I still went with my gut on this one with Notre Dame. Utah, BYU, I got Utah winning this one. But I think it's going to be a really good game.
I got BYU. Go Mormons.
We are so okay. Whoever doesn't get you and I are opposite ends this week. Someone's gonna have a great week and someone's not.
Well, it hopefully will not be me, but we'll see. We'll see.
I went with some kind of crazy picks, so I'll probably be the one that pays.
All right. Let's get into the actual game here.
Yes,
the game that the people want to see at the end of the day. How are we feeling about this one, Kendall? I'll let you go first.
Well, I picked South Carolina because here's my thing. I think that I can speak positivity into the world, and I'm willing to take my pride out of it. I guess even last week, I'm okay, I don't know if I really think South Carolina is going to win this game, but I'm picking them because they've given me enough to have some hope, and I want to be positive. So this week I will continue to try to be positive for South Carolina. I have them winning 24-21 over Oklahoma. I don't even know if the teams will score that many points because, like you said, I do think this will be a competition between both defenses. But I wrote something in there and I talked about it with Clemson just a second ago about the desperation kind of kicking in for South Carolina. And I think there's some realness to that. I think that they know South Carolina, and we kind of say this, every week, but they know what is on the line, especially with this game, because your opportunities are fleeting when it comes to getting wins and putting yourself in a position to become bowl eligible. And this is a prime opportunity to do it. You're at home, and I have confidence. I have confidence that things are going in the right direction for South Carolina, despite the loss against LSU. So that's why I have the Gamecocks winning this one, because I think that they know, and I think there's probably a little bit of desperation there, that we must win this game. And earlier in the season, we would use that term, but now you're at the point where it's okay, we are, getting to the point in the season where we're not going to have a lot of opportunities left. And this is our best opportunity to win an SEC game. So, but yeah, I do think it is tough because Oklahoma lost to Texas last week. And so they're going to be mad. And obviously you could say the same about South Carolina with LSU, but they lost to Texas, and it's a game that I think more people had Oklahoma performing better in than people had South Carolina beating LSU.
Keep in mind, going back to last year, Texas destroyed Oklahoma just like they did this year, the week before playing South Carolina. So I think that it's not transitive property, but it's the similarities, it's been proven that, Oklahoma can be pissed all they want, but they can go out there and stink it up the next week. So I kind of think we get a little bit of that this weekend. Now, here's the main point here from Jeff. Can John Mateer have back-to-back bad games? He doesn't think so. And I think he's going to be good, but I don't think he's going to be great. I think he's going to make a few mistakes in this game. And I wrote it in my staff picks here. Again, if South Carolina doesn't win this game, you can forget about going to a bowl game. Just write it off, because unless they magically somehow win one of these next 3 games against Alabama, Ole Miss, and A&M, I think you could just forget about going to a bowl game. Enjoy your holiday, But we'll see if that happens. I think they are going to end up getting to a bowl game, because I think they're going to beat Oklahoma today. I don't trust the offense at all. I don't. But I do trust this defense, and I do trust the special teams to make plays. So limit the mistakes on offense. Just try to keep up a little bit. Don't need to be perfect, but do a little bit to help out your defense and special teams, because they did enough last week against LSU, and the offense just did not do much at all. So let's see what can happen this weekend. I got South Carolina win this one 17-14. Going to be very low scoring.
Low scoring. Okay. All right. Well, games at 12:45 on SEC Network. Shout out to my girl, Alyssa Lang. She'll be on the sidelines today. And I know she loves being able to go back to South Carolina. So I can't wait to watch her. And I'm happy that this game is earlier. This is prime time for me because I have hockey tonight. So I'm very glad that I'm able to go teach my workout class, come back here, watch South Carolina play, and just enjoy it. So Jack will be there. He needs to go, actually, because he has less than an hour now to get into the press box.
I got a radio hit in 8 minutes here.
Oh gosh, so we really do have to go. But keep up with Jack over on GamecockCentral.com on his X account as well. And yeah, chat with us, interact with us, let us know what you're thinking, everybody. It's game day. It's in Columbia, South Carolina. It is South Carolina taking on Oklahoma. And this is before the Sandstorm here on Gamecock Central. Thank you, everybody, for joining us. Have a great Saturday. And just in time for college game day, we are going to get out of here. So for Jack Veltri, I'm Kendall Smith, and we'll see you guys soon. Bye.